They don't say it out loud, but you can feel it. People shift when you walk into the room. Their smiles tighten, their laughter fades. Conversations die mid-sentence. It's not because you are rude or arrogant or even doing anything wrong. It's because there's something about you, an invisible intensity they cannot explain but cannot ignore. You ask deep questions, you listen closely, you speak with purpose, and when you look someone in the eyes, they look away. You have been told you are too serious, too intense, that you overthink everything. But what if you are not too much? What if, just like Carl Jung believed, your presence is charged with something far more powerful? An aura, not the fluffy kind, but a psychological force, a silent energy that challenges others without saying a word. Because people are not afraid of you. They are afraid of what you reflect back to them. Their own insecurities, their own fears, their own masks. And so they withdraw, they avoid, they gossip, they shrink themselves just to feel safe around you. Not because you are dangerous, but because your energy is honest. And honesty? It unsettles people who are used to pretending. Carl Jung spent his life studying this, the psychic energy that radiates from those who have confronted their shadow and stepped into their true self. This video will reveal the 13 signs your aura might be silently overwhelming to others. Not because you are broken, but because you are rare. And in a world addicted to comfort, rare energy terrifies people. Most people think of an aura as something spiritual, a glowing field of colors floating around the body. But Carl Jung had a much deeper, more psychological view. To Jung, your aura was not made of light. It was made of energy. Not the kind you can measure, but the kind you can feel. He believed that every person radiates a subtle but powerful field of psychic energy, shaped by your thoughts, your emotions, and most of all, your unconscious. And this energy speaks long before you open your mouth. It shows up in the way you walk into a room, in the way people react to you without knowing why, in the vibe you carry, even in silence. Jung called this influence the unconscious transmission of the self, and it comes from the parts of you most people ignore or suppress, your shadow, your pain, your truth. The more you confront those hidden parts, the more your energy changes. You begin to carry a different kind of presence, a presence that is not shaped by social masks or shallow approval, but by self-awareness, depth, and inner alignment, and people feel it, even if they cannot explain it. They sense that you are different. It's in the way your eyes hold emotion, in the calmness of your silence, in the quiet intensity of your gaze. Jung believed this kind of aura could unconsciously trigger others, not because you are doing anything wrong, but because your energy exposes what they have spent their whole lives trying to hide. Their insecurities, their fears, their false selves. This is why people might keep their distance, why they might misjudge you, why they might feel intimidated, even if you are soft-spoken and kind. Your aura, the energy of your real self, is speaking directly to their unconscious, and not everyone is ready for that conversation. Understanding this idea is key to everything Jung taught, that we are not just minds or bodies, we are fields of psychic influence, living symbols, walking mirrors. And the more honest you become with yourself, the more intense your aura becomes to others. Sign number 1, people say you are too intense. Even when you are just being honest, you speak from a deeper place, not to impress, not to dominate, but to connect. Yet somehow, your words always seem to go too far. You say what others avoid. You name what people keep hidden. You bring truth into places that were built on illusion, and it makes people uncomfortable. They say you're too serious, too much, or too deep. But what they really mean is, you make me feel things I'm not ready to feel. Carl Jung believed that some people carry energy that awakens the unconscious in others. It forces them to confront the truth about themselves, about life, about their carefully constructed identities. So when you speak, it's not just words, it's energy, it's presence, it's depth. And for people who live on the surface, that feels like a threat. Your intensity is not aggression, it's not arrogance, it's emotional honesty, and very few people can hold it without flinching. Sign number 2, small talk feels physically draining to you. You can feel it instantly, the shallow, scripted energy of surface-level conversations. How's the weather? What do you do? Did you see that show last night? It's not that you're rude. You try to engage, you nod, smile, respond. But deep down, something inside you resists. Jung believed that people with a strong connection to their unconscious feel repelled by inauthenticity, and small talk often serves as a shield, a way to avoid real connection. So, when you're in those conversations, your aura sends a different signal. This isn't real. Let's talk about something that matters. But that energy disrupts the script. It breaks the social illusion. And people sense it, even if you never say a word. They might see you as standoffish, cold, or antisocial. But the truth is, your soul is starving for realness, and your aura makes that hunger visible. Sign number 3. You attract confessions and emotional dumping. Strangers tell you their life story. Friends come to you when they're breaking down. You've been called a therapist more times than you can count. Even though you never asked for it, this isn't a coincidence. Jung believed that some individuals carry an unconscious archetype of the healer, even if they aren't in a healing profession. Your aura radiates depth, stillness, and emotional safety. People feel like they can open up to you, even when they barely know you. But here's the paradox. You rarely feel seen in return. You listen. You hold space. You absorb pain. But few ever ask how you're doing. This creates a strange loneliness, one where you're surrounded by emotion, yet starving for connection. Your aura might be magnetic for those in pain, but it also intimidates those who fear their own darkness. Sign number 4. People seem to avoid eye contact with you. You walk into a room and you feel it. People shift. They glance, then look away. They talk softer. They act different. It's subtle, but unmistakable. Sometimes they avoid you altogether. Other times they stare, as if they're trying to figure you out. But say nothing. Carl Jung taught that when you've integrated parts of yourself that others deny, you unconsciously mirror what they've suppressed. Your eye contact becomes more than a social gesture. It becomes a psychic encounter. They're not just seeing you, they're seeing themselves through you. And if they're not ready for that reflection, they'll flinch. They'll retreat. They'll label you as intimidating, even if you're being completely kind. Your presence demands honesty, not because you ask for it, but because your aura speaks before your words do. Sign number 5. Your presence triggers strong reactions, without you doing anything. You're just sitting there, saying nothing, doing nothing out of the ordinary. Yet someone reacts. They get defensive, irritated, or weirdly cold. And you're left wondering, what did I do? Carl Jung believed that when someone carries a powerful integrated energy, it disturbs the unconscious of those around them, especially those who are hiding from parts of themselves. Your presence acts like a mirror. People see parts of themselves reflected in you, parts they don't want to acknowledge, their insecurity, their shame, their envy. You don't even have to speak. Your energy does the talking. This is the silent power of a developed aura. You don't need to command attention, because your very existence challenges others to confront who they really are. And most people, they don't like what they see. Sign number 6. You can't tolerate fake personas. And people feel it. You've never been able to stand masks, the fake laughter, the shallow personas, the endless need to perform. You see through it instantly. You feel it in your gut before your mind even catches up. This sensitivity isn't judgment, it's perception. Jung believed that when someone has integrated their shadow, their dark, rejected traits, they develop what he called psychological wholeness. This gives them the ability to sense fragmentation in others. So, when you're around someone who's posturing, pretending to be someone they're not, your aura sends a subtle signal. Drop the act. I see who you really are. Most people aren't ready for that. They might get nervous around you, or overly defensive, or they'll just label you as intense and keep their distance. Not because you expose them, but because your energy wouldn't let their illusion breathe. Sign number 7. You make people second-guess themselves. You ask questions that others avoid. You challenge assumptions. You don't accept normal just because it's common. And because of that, people second-guess themselves around you. They get flustered. They doubt what they say. They try to justify things they normally wouldn't even think about. This isn't arrogance. It's not manipulation. It's the psychic weight of your clarity. Jung said that when a person embodies deep self-awareness, they become a living contradiction to the collective. Your clarity exposes confusion. Your calm reveals anxiety. Your self-trust highlights other people's self-doubt. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove anything. Just being who you are is enough to destabilize false certainty. And in a world addicted to ego validation, that makes you quietly dangerous. Sign number 8. People open up to you, then pull away. They tell you their secrets. They say you understand them like no one else. For a moment, it feels like a real connection. Then suddenly, they vanish. They stop texting. They become distant. And you're left wondering, what just happened? This emotional whiplash isn't your fault. It's the shadow at work. Jung taught that when someone feels truly seen, not just flattered, but understood at their core, it awakens parts of them they've spent years avoiding. Your aura didn't hurt them. It revealed them. And that can feel terrifying for someone not ready to face their pain, trauma, or deeper truth. So they pull away. Not because you did something wrong, but because you unknowingly unlocked a door they weren't ready to walk through. You didn't break the connection. You made it too real. Sign number 9, you intimidate people without trying, especially authority figures. You walk into a room, and suddenly the power dynamic shifts. Your boss gets defensive. That loud, dominant person quiets down. People who are used to controlling the narrative start stumbling. You didn't do anything, but your energy says, I'm not easily controlled. Jung believed that those who have integrated their inner power, their inner king or queen archetype, radiate a quiet sovereignty. It doesn't scream, it doesn't posture, it simply is. And that kind of presence threatens anyone who builds their identity on dominance or control. You might notice that people in authority either respect you deeply or subtly resent you, because without saying a word, your aura communicates, you don't hold power over me. And for those who rely on fear or status to maintain control, that's the most unsettling thing you could ever say. And sign 10, you walk into someone's life with kindness, with honesty, with no hidden agenda, but somehow you become the villain in their story. They accuse you of being arrogant, cold, too intense, too emotional. They twist your silence into judgment, your self-respect into ego, your solitude into rejection. This isn't about you, it's about projection, a concept Carl Jung emphasized as one of the most dangerous blind spots in human relationships. When people are unwilling to confront their own flaws, they unconsciously project them onto others. And people with strong auras, deep, developed, spiritually attuned auras, become the perfect screen. Because your presence reflects what they're trying to hide. You didn't become the villain, you just refused to play the victim, and that disrupted their narrative. Sign number 11. Strangers feel drawn to you without knowing why. It happens in grocery stores, airports, waiting rooms. A stranger starts talking to you, deeply. They confess something personal. They say, I don't know why I'm telling you this. There's no small talk, just raw emotion, like they've been waiting for someone, like you, to appear. Jung believed that some people carry what he called numinous energy. It's not charisma, it's not charm, it's the soul's gravity. People sense it. They don't know what they're feeling, but they feel safe, seen, pulled towards something ancient and sacred. Your aura operates like a quiet spiritual lighthouse. Even if you're not religious, even if you're not seeking anything, your soul radiates. And others, especially the lost, the hurting, the seekers, will feel it like a silent calling. Sign number 12. You can feel the energy of a room instantly. You step inside, and within seconds, you know what's off. You feel tension. You sense hidden resentment. You pick up the mask everyone's wearing before a single word is spoken. To others, it seems like you have a sixth sense. But in truth, it's your highly developed psychic attunement. Carl Jung described this as psychological intuition, the unconscious intelligence that operates beneath logic and language. You don't need explanations. You feel truth. You sense deception. You don't just observe energy. You absorb it. This is the double-edged sword of spiritual sensitivity. It gives you access to deeper dimensions of human experience, but it also makes you vulnerable to energetic overwhelm. Your aura is like an antenna, always picking up signals others don't even know they're sending. And unless you're careful, you can end up carrying emotions that were never yours to begin with. Sign number 13. You've always felt not of this world, and others feel it too. There's a loneliness in you that's hard to explain. Not the loneliness of lacking company, but the loneliness of being different on a soul level. Since childhood, you've felt like an outsider, even among friends, even in your own family. It's as if you were born with ancient eyes in a world that only sees the surface. Carl Jung believed that certain individuals are born with a calling from the self, a deep inner voice pulling them toward growth, wholeness, and transformation. These people often live at the edges of society. They question what others accept. They carry wisdom that feels otherworldly. Your aura reflects that. It carries depth, mystery. It stirs something ancient in the people who meet you. Some are inspired by it. Some are terrified by it. But very few can ignore it. Because whether they realize it or not, they're in the presence of someone who doesn't quite belong to this world, but was sent to change it. You've seen it happen again and again. You enter a space, and something shifts. People become guarded, distant, awkward, sometimes even aggressive. And you're left wondering, why? You didn't say anything offensive. You weren't trying to dominate the room. You were just being yourself. But that's the exact problem, because when your aura carries authenticity, self-awareness, and depth, it challenges people. It confronts the parts of themselves they have buried. Carl Jung believed that each of us has a shadow, the hidden side of our personality, filled with traits we've repressed or denied. Most people spend their lives avoiding it, but when someone with an integrated aura walks into the room, the shadow gets triggered. Your presence silently communicates, "I've faced myself. Have you?" And for those who haven't, this is terrifying. The ego's war against individuation. Jung's core psychological journey was the path of individuation, becoming your truest, whole self by integrating both light and shadow. But most people never take this journey. Why? Because the ego, our constructed self-image, fiercely resists it. The ego doesn't want truth. It wants control. It wants to believe, I'm a good person, I'm normal, I'm fine the way I am. And anyone who forces it to question that is perceived as a threat. That's you. You're not threatening because you're aggressive. You're threatening because you're evolved. Your aura reflects someone who is in process, someone who has questioned, deconstructed, and rebuilt themselves from the inside out. That energy exposes everyone still clinging to their illusions. And instead of saying, I want to grow like that, many will choose to say, you're too much. Why rare energy feels dangerous. We live in a world that rewards conformity and surface-level behavior, being loud, agreeable, trendy. These traits make people feel comfortable. But when someone walks in with silence, stillness, and soul depth, they break the unspoken social contract. People don't know how to categorize you. You don't play the usual games. You don't seek validation. Your very presence asks, what else is there? This creates emotional dissonance, the discomfort that arises when someone is forced to confront truths they have ignored. That dissonance quickly turns into repulsion or judgment, because it's easier to label someone as weird than to admit they're living with more clarity than I am. You are a mirror, and mirrors aren't always welcome. The spiritual depth of your aura reflects people back to themselves. To those who are open, this feels magnetic. They're drawn to your insight, your calm, your presence. To those who are fragmented, it feels invasive. They don't want to be seen that clearly. They don't want to feel their own confusion, insecurity, or denial. And so, they retreat, they attack, they reject, not because you're wrong, but because you're real. Your aura is a gift, but it comes with solitude. Carl Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But becoming who you truly are is not a path filled with applause. It's a path that requires courage, self-confrontation, and often deep loneliness. Your aura carries the weight of your inner work. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about being more whole, and wholeness will always be rare. It will always be misunderstood. It will always scare those who haven't yet begun. But the truth is, the more people pull away, the closer you move toward the self, and the more aligned you become, the more light you carry into a dark world. even if it blinds some eyes. If you have made it this far, there's something you need to hear. You are not broken, you are not too much, and you are certainly not the problem. You are rare. You feel the things most people ignore. You see the patterns most are blind to. You ask the questions that make others uncomfortable, not because you are trying to stir trouble, but because your soul is built for truth. And that truth comes at a price. Carl Jung believed that walking the path toward wholeness, the path of individuation, is not a journey the masses are willing to take. It's lonely, it's disorienting, and it often means walking through life misunderstood. But here's the paradox. The very thing that isolates you is what proves your depth. The discomfort you feel in shallow conversations, the urge to detach from toxic dynamics, the pain of being too intense, too quiet, or too deep. These are not flaws. They are signs that you are evolving, because when your aura expands, the world shrinks. Most people are born into a mold, told who to be, how to act, and what to feel. But your soul was wired differently. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to awaken. And with awakening comes resistance, not just from society, but from those closest to you. Not because they are bad, but because your energy reminds them of the work they have avoided. You are a mirror they never asked for, a light they are not ready to walk toward. But still, you shine. Carl Jung once wrote, "A lonely day is God's way of saying that He wants to spend some quality time with you." And maybe that's the point. Maybe your isolation is not punishment. Maybe it's preparation for deeper wisdom, for spiritual strength, for the kind of clarity that most people never reach in a lifetime. Because when your aura scares people, it's often because it speaks a language their soul recognizes, but their mind isn't ready to understand. So don't shrink, don't dim, don't apologize for your sensitivity, your insight, your inner fire. You are not here to be palatable. You are here to be powerful. And while others may flinch in your presence, the ones who are meant for you will feel seen, safe, and stronger when you walk into the room. Because your aura is not just energy, it's a signal, a call to truth, a reminder of what's possible when someone dares to be fully alive. So the next time they call you too much, you smile, and you remember you are not too much. You are just rare,